guys, it's Zoe. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. So today I went to the movies just a few minutes ago. We just got done. And I saw the movie 5 Feet Apart. And I thought it was an amazing movie. So I thought I could do a movie review on that movie, or I just had no video ideas. Anyway, so I'm going to be going through the movie with you, and if you have not seen the movie yet, please don't watch this, or I guess you can watch it so I can get views. But there are going to be spoilers. I'm going to be going through the whole movie, explaining what happened in it, and then kind of giving you my rating on it, and yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so in the beginning, basically Stella, which is the girl that is sick, has a disease. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, so she's going down this hallway to see babies because she's in love with babies, yeah. And then she sees this boy that will later be introduced. So she goes down there, and then the boy follows her and then tells her that his name is Will. And then they're say 6 feet apart. They had to stay 6 feet apart so they don't catch each other's diseases. Then they kind of start being friends. Stella also has this friend named Poe, which they've been friends since I think they were 7. So after Stella and Will had met, Stella saw Will on top of the roof, so she ended up going up there and asking what is he doing. And since she found out that Will wasn't doing his regimen, she was like, if you don't want to be here, then you should just give it to another person that does need it. And he was like, okay. And so he got up on the ledge, and he was he kind of looked like he was about to jump off the building. She's like, no, Will, don't do it. And then he ended up playing a prank on her, and then she was all mad, and she was like, okay, fine, you can stay out here, it doesn't matter, because she was kind of aggravated. Then she left, and then Will ended up being locked outside, but then he found his way and it was fine. But that would later train into, I guess, the near the end. Stella gets Will's number. So then she later finds out that he has not been following his regimen, which she is a huge control freak, as she says in the movie. So she puts him on a schedule, and she lets him use her app that she made, because she makes apps that she uses to keep herself on schedule for her regimen. So they start FaceTiming each other every day so they can keep the same regimen, because they both have the same thing they need to do every day. But Will hasn't been following his. So he later goes into Stella's room, and they kind of talk to each other, I guess. And he finds paintings on her little board on her wall, and he's like, wow, those are beautiful. Did you make those? She's like, no, my sister Abby made them. And he was like, well, one day we should get in touch and talk, because those are really good. And she gets kind of sad, I guess. And then he's wondering what he did wrong. And then later he leaves her room and whatever. So Stella and Abby used to look out the window and look at the buildings, and they'd call them stars, which would later chain into the near the end of the movie. So Stella has a YouTube channel that she talks about her daily life in, and I guess what she does, and she just kind of vlogs her hospital experience. So later Will finds Stella's YouTube channel after searching her name, so she watches all of them. And then after hearing about Abby, he finds a video that has Abby in it, and it's her going into surgery. I think it was for her nasal, something about her nose, a nasal thing, and Abby's with her. And then in all the other videos after that, Abby was never shown. So then Will's friends are there, and they look at Abby's page to see if she's posted anything, and every post that she had posted was from a year ago. And a year ago, that is when Stella had posted the video with her sister Abby. So then he later finds out that Abby had died after cliff diving. She had hit her neck and she drowned in the ocean. Stella decides to take back 1 foot because her disease had been the thief in this situation. So then she said in the movie that she was the thief this time. So she took back one foot. So then she got a pool stick, you play pool with whatever, and she used that to like show, I guess, the length, because a pool stick bob is approximately 5 feet. So they used that. They went on the first date after that. So they took the pool stick with them. They went to the pool, then they swam together, they had fun. After that, they kind of just hung around in the hallways. But then the nurse that had been treating them had found out that Stella and Will were out of the rooms. Well, since she had babies, there was a little, I guess, place where they were. And so she went up there because that would be the first place that the nurse was looking for her. She didn't get caught. She went there like right before the nurse got there and pretended like she was asleep, but she wasn't. So then she didn't get in trouble, and then Will went back to his room, so then he didn't get in trouble. And then later it was Will's 18th birthday, and when they turned 18, they were on their own paying for their medical needs. Their expenses had been paid, but since they were 18, they had to deal with that now. So either the family would take care of it or them themselves would have to take care of it. Stella had decided that day, since she didn't have a birthday present for him, to set up a dinner with Will's friends and her friends from school, and also Poe. She got balloons and she put these little pieces of paper in there that told him different places to go, and those different places would have a balloon with another scroll in it. So the last scroll said, "This will be your next date," or something like that. So then he went to the cafeteria, and that's where Stella was, and she had the last balloon. And then she reveals a little room in the cafeteria, because the cafeteria was closed and they couldn't be like really close to each other, so they had to do it at night, obviously. So she opens the doors, and then Poe and some of like 2 of Stella's friends and then 3 of Will's friends popped out and like surprise and whatever. And then they had a nice birthday dinner, but then they ended up getting caught by their nurse. So then they got in trouble. So I'm editing right now, and when I said they got in trouble, Will and Poe and Stella got in really big trouble because once there was these 2 kids that liked each other with the same disease, and the nurse let them get close enough, like breaking the limit of how far apart they had to be. But since she let them do that, they ended up dying because they spread each other's diseases to each other, I guess. And then they died on her watch, and she was very scarred by that. So then she was very protective of what they did and how close they got, because she didn't want them to die as well. So they had to go back to their rooms, and that day, or the next day, Will was going to have to get transferred to another place because it just got too out of hand. They kept doing things that they shouldn't do, like getting closer and closer to each other. So then that morning, whenever the nurse was trying to transfer Will, Poe hit his little emergency button, and the doctor just thought that he had pressed it in an accident because he had done it like at the beginning of the movie, but it was just on accident. So she went to go check on him, and then the nurse found Poe on the ground, and then it was like a whole situation. All the doctors had to come in, but Poe ended up dying. So it was really sad. Stella was sad. Will tried to comfort her. So Stella went back to her room, and Will kind of went after her to kind of soothe her, I guess. And then Stella started explaining like she's lost almost everyone, and Will tried to say, "Well, you still have me," and he put his hand on her, but then she kind of like started freaking out, I guess, and she kicked Will out of her room. And then she started like breaking this little glass that Poe had given her that had truffles in it, which was, I guess, part of the beginning of the movie. It was just a little minor detail, but then she started taking off all the paintings that her sister had made. She tore them off the walls, and it was like a big mess in her room. But then Will started packing up all his things because he was like mad, I guess. And then he went to the lobby and just kind of waited there. I didn't know what he was like trying to do, but yeah. And then Stella went for a walk in the cold. Okay, so I'm editing right now, and I'm just letting y'all know that by time Stella went for a walk in the cold, it was already nighttime, just kind of like, because it's a detail that needs to be known in this next part. So yeah. And then she saw Will through a window, and then it was like, she said sorry, she apologized, and then Will went outside to see what she was doing, and she said she wanted to go see the lights. Will had first denied, and she was like, okay, I'll just go by myself. But then Will went with her, and then they went on a hill. They kind of hung out there for a second, and they kept walking, and they ended up at a frozen lake. So then they kind of like started like skating around the lake, the frozen lake. And then they ended up sitting on the little bridge that they had. Okay, sorry for interrupting once again, but I forgot to tell you that while they were skating around on the ice, Stella got a text message from the nurse saying that she had a lung donor, so she was going to get new lungs, so then her disease wouldn't be as bad. But she ignored it because she wanted to go see the lights. And then Will found out on the bridge, his mom texted him saying that Stella was getting new lungs, so they should come back to the hospital. And then he was like asking Stella, did you know about this? And she said, yeah, she knew about it. He was like, okay, let's go. And then this ends up happening. So Stella like fell down, like pretending like she hurt herself. Just playing a prank on Will, like Will had done to her when he was like about to jump off the building. So she got payback. But then Will went around to kind of help her up, and then the ice had broken off, and she was in the frozen water. And then he didn't care about the boundaries. He helped her get out of the ice. And then when she was out, she was kind of like, not really like dead, but she was like near death, I guess. So Will had to do mouth to mouth, which was very dangerous for them, since like that was a restriction. Like if they got each other's saliva, then Stella or Will could die from it. So Stella went into a room on her little cart that the ambulance had brought, and so then she went to a room. And then they were like preparing her for surgery, I guess. And then she's like, I don't want to do it. Where's Will? Will should have it. I love Will. And it was like a whole thing. And then Will finally came to a room on his cart that the ambulance had gotten for him. And then he was like, Stella, just do it. I don't need him. You need him more. So then she ended up going to the surgery, and her parents were really worried. They were like, will she just make it? And Will was in the waiting room waiting for her. And then she ends up making it through surgery. They're all happy. But then it ends up that the treatment for Will isn't working at all. So he had to go to another hospital because they were doing an experiment, or not really like a drug experiment there, to see if like it'll work. It was working for Stella, but not for Will. So then he ends up having to go to another hospital. And then Will had given her the drawings that he was drawing, and he wouldn't show Stella them. So there was like drawings of Stella with her panda that her sister had given her. And it was like really like, they were like really pretty pictures. And so then Will is like outside because the room she was in had a window that was looking outside. Since they didn't get to go see the lights that were like on the buildings, I guess, Will had set up like lights all outside her window, and then he ends up calling her on her phone, and the nurses gave her a phone, telling her like, he was telling her, I have to go since it's not working for me. And then she's all sad, and so he had her close her eyes because he didn't want to walk away with her eyes open, because he couldn't let her see that. So he walks off, and she's all sad. but then there's the end of the movie, I guess.
Okay, so if that did not make sense to you, what I meant was like while Stella was in surgery, Will's mom and Stella's parents decided to set up like lights outside her room, like outside the big window, because they didn't get to go see the stars on top of the buildings. So yeah, and then he called Stella while he was outside. They could see each other, but he couldn't just talk through the window. So he ended up calling her, saying like, "Hey, I have to go," whatever. And that's why he had to close her eyes, because he didn't want her to see him walk off, because it'll be too painful for both of them. So yeah, if that didn't make sense, I hope that makes even more sense. Okay, yeah.
So I rate this movie 10 out of 10. Y'all should definitely go see it if you haven't, because it's a really, really good movie. There were some sad parts and a lot of happy parts. It was still amazing all in all. So I hope y'all guys enjoyed this movie review, if that's what you would call it. If y'all did like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Also, make sure to hit the big red button down below to subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so you can get notifications every single time I upload a video. So I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!